Yeah, it's it. Keys in the whip.
Minute. Atlanta, a city where ambition touches the sky and the truth hides beneath 1,000 lights. A place where dreams are sold, love is performed, and status becomes the currency of survival. But in a world full of illusions, one man refuses to play by the rules. His name is Julian King. Smooth voice, sharp mind, sharper suit. Some call him arrogant, others call him a genius. But everyone agrees on one thing. He sees the dating game for what it really is. Tonight, as the city comes alive behind him, Julian steps into the spotlight not to entertain, but to expose. Because when he speaks, people listen. When he challenges the culture, people argue. And when he drops the truth, the whole world reacts. This is the story of how one man became the most loved and the most hated as voice in modern relationships.
Rings on my hand, but it's deeper than that. You know the crown fit. She's
Inside
choosing
his
me.
studio, the world feels different. LED lights glow like electric truth, and the gold microphone sits like a crown in front of him. Julian King didn't choose this life. He evolved into it. Every clip he posts, every debate he hosts, every uncomfortable truth he delivers sends shockwaves across social media. He created the Modern Mack mindset not to uplift himself, but to expose the contradictions of modern dating culture. His message is simple: honesty over ego, logic over emotions, and self-accountability over excuses. And yet, that makes him the villain to many. But Julian is unbothered. He leans into the mic, calm and confident, ready to take on the world with nothing but facts, discipline, and charisma. His voice alone commands millions, but it's his message that keeps them coming back.
She see the cars, the money, the jewelry. She's choosing me. She like the
Across the city, Sierra Brooks scrolls through her endless feed, switching outfits, changing lighting, chasing engagement. She lives for attention, digital applause, instant validation, the sweet but shallow highs of likes and comments. Sierra's world is curated perfection, filtered lifestyle, polished chaos. She knows her beauty is her power, and she uses it like currency. Athletes, rappers, entrepreneurs, she juggles them all effortlessly. But for the first time in a long time, someone interrupts her illusion. Julian King pops up on her screen, mid-interview, calling out the very dating patterns she built her life around. She scoffs, rolls her eyes, dismisses him with a smirk. But something about his confidence irritates her. He isn't impressed by her beauty. He isn't intimidated by her following, and that, more than anything, threatens her world. In a sleek office high above downtown, Vanessa Carter commands a boardroom like a battlefield. She's powerful, polished, fiercely intelligent, and determined to show the world what a high-value woman looks like. Her reputation is flawless, at least on the surface. Behind closed doors, she entertains a relationship she would publicly condemn. A married CEO who funds her lifestyle. She lives by double standards she criticizes online, and she hides the loneliness she refuses to admit. When Julian's viral debate clip flashes across her laptop, calling out hypocrisy in modern dating, Vanessa shuts it quickly. But the truth leaves a sting. She knows men like Julian threaten everything she pretends to stand for, and she cannot let him win.
lifestyle and the luxury. She's choosing me. She see the king and knowing the prophecy. She's choosing me. She's choosing me. She's choosing me. I move like purpose and she feeling that. Told me I'm red, Sarah King.
Miami sunlight dances across infinity pools and champagne glasses as Carmen Rivera enters the brunch scene like a walking vision. Zoe Saldaña brings her to life, poised, seductive, and always in control. Carmen learned long ago that beauty opens doors faster than honesty ever could. She mastered the art of getting what she wants, from wealthy men, from social circles, from life itself. But beneath the glamorous vacations and designer labels is a woman who fears one thing more than aging: irrelevance. When Julian's latest rant about accountability flashes on a nearby phone, Carmen rolls her eyes, dismissing him instantly. But deep down, she recognizes a threat. Men like Julian don't fall for charm. Men like Julian don't bend to seduction. And men like Julian always reveal the truth.
Never chill or rest. She's choosing me, set my grind, got a soul attached. She's choosing me, yeah, she's choosing fact.
Away from the cameras and the comments, Julian King has one place where he doesn't have to perform. The quiet office of Dr. Alana Pierce. No microphones, no live chat, just a couch, a notebook, and a woman who sees right through the armor. Ilana doesn't treat Julian like a celebrity or a villain. She treats him like a man who has seen too much of the game and is terrified of ever being played again. She challenges his ideas, questions his motives, and pokes at the pain he hides behind his confident smile. "You're not just teaching people," she tells him. "You're protecting yourself." Julian smirks, deflects, but he knows she's right. The modern Mack mindset might have started as content, but somewhere along the way it became his shield, and even the strongest shields crack under constant fire.
Pulled up slow, clean fade, chain gleaming. Got that voice that sound like Sunday meeting. She ain't never seen a man so.
Later that night, laughter replaces therapy as Julian links up with his best friend Ty Jackson. Ty is the one person who remembers Julian before the fame, before the suits, before the clips, back when he was just a broke kid trying to figure women and life out at the same time. Over wings and whiskey, Ty clowns him about his modern messiah image, scrolling through comments and reading them in dramatic voices. But in between the jokes, Ty offers the kind of warning only a real friend can give. "You know you're poking the hive, right?" he says. "You keep calling out these women on camera. They're not just gonna argue. Some of them gonna come for your neck, bro." Julian shrugs it off, confident. "Truth is truth," he replies. "If they hate me for it, that just means they heard me." Ty shakes his head, half proud, half worried, because he knows when feelings and reputations are on the line, nobody plays fair.
Season, so the baby, this royalty, not no demon.
The storm truly begins on a night that was supposed to be just another episode. Julian invites Vanessa Carter onto his show, a high-profile guest known for championing high standards and dragging men online. She arrives poised, prepared, and ready for war. The chat is on fire before the show even starts. As the cameras roll, Vanessa smiles for the audience, but her eyes are razor sharp. She expects an easy victory. She thinks Julian is just another loud man with a microphone. But as their debate unfolds, something unexpected happens. Julian doesn't shout, he doesn't fold. He asks questions, calm, surgical, unforgiving questions. He pulls up her old clips, compares her words to her choices, and gently, methodically, peels back the layers of her public image. By the time the episode ends, the internet has its new obsession. Not the argument, but the way Julian held his frame. The inciting incident has begun, and nothing in his life will be the same. Within hours, the episode becomes digital wildfire. One particular clip, Julian calmly saying, "Accountability isn't disrespect," while Vanessa struggles to answer, goes viral across every platform. Some cheer him on, praising his logic and composure. Others label him a misogynist, a narcissist, a modern Mack pretending to be righteous. Hashtags erupt, reaction videos multiply, radio shows dissect his every word. For Julian, it's validation of everything he's been preaching. For Vanessa, it's humiliation on the grandest scale. Her supporters flood her DMs demanding a response. Her critics call her exposed. And somewhere between love and hate, the modern Mack mindset transforms from a podcast into a movement. But every movement creates resistance, and the women he's called out are not about to take this lying down. In a world that thrives on group chats and private calls, the counterattack doesn't happen in public. It starts in the shadows. Vanessa, furious and embarrassed, reaches out to two women who know how to weaponize perception, Sierra and Carmen. On screen, they present one image, in private, another. Together, they form an uneasy alliance built on ego, frustration, and a mutual goal. Julian King must fall. Sierra wants to prove he's just like every other man. Vanessa wants her respect back. Carmen simply hates that a man exists who doesn't bow to beauty or status. They replay clips of Julian, dissect his words, and search for weaknesses. "All it takes is one good scandal," Carmen says, her tone cold. The plan isn't clear yet, but the intention is. They're not interested in debating him anymore. They want to destroy his name. Meanwhile, Julian is too busy teaching to notice the gathering storm. Invitations flood in. Panels, live streams, interviews. Everyone wants a piece of the modern Mac. He debates influencers, relationship gurus, and self-proclaimed high-value personalities. Some come to challenge him, others to ride his momentum. Clip after clip hits the internet. Julian calmly breaking down double standards, exposing how entitlement, unrealistic expectations, and lack of accountability poison modern relationships. Viral edits label him, "The Modern Mack School's another one." His supporters quote him like scripture. His critics clip him out of context. But through the noise, one thing is undeniable. Julian King has become the face of a new conversation. He thinks he's leading a movement toward honesty. He doesn't realize he's also walking straight into a trap. With fame comes temptation, and Julian is surrounded by it. After shows, women approach him with flirty smiles and loaded questions. Some challenge him on camera, then slip him numbers off camera. Others try to bait him into contradictions, pushing drinks into his hand, leaning in too close, daring him to prove he's as disciplined as he claims. Julian stays composed, but the tension is constant. He prides himself on not mixing business with pleasure, yet the line gets thinner every day. When he returns to Dr. Alana Pierce, she doesn't ask about the views. She asks about the pressure. "You know they're not just debating you," she says. "They're waiting for you to slip." She warns him that his rising influence is creating powerful enemies, people who would rather ruin his image than examine their own reflection. Julian listens but brushes it aside. He believes that as long as his truth is clean, he'll be fine. Alana knows better. The turning point arrives not with a debate, but with a tearful live stream. Sierra Brooks appears on screen, mascara streaked, voice trembling. She tells the world that Julian King secretly dated her, misled her, and discarded her like everyone else. She hints at manipulation, power imbalance, emotional damage. She never says his name directly at first, but everyone knows who she's talking about. Within minutes, blogs pick it up. Commentators react in real time. "I knew he was fake," some say. "Protect black women," others shout. For the first time, the tide turns decisively against Julian. Brands pause collaborations. Sponsors quietly pull emails. People who once praised him now question his integrity. Sierra watches the chaos unfold, conflicted but stubborn. She wanted to prove he wasn't different from the men he critiques. In her mind, the mission justifies the lie. What she doesn't realize is that this attack won't just test Julian, it will test the very culture that created her. The silence hits harder than the noise. Julian sits alone as his phone buzzes with accusations he refuses to open. Headlines question his character. Old supporters disappear. New critics celebrate. For the first time since his rise, Julian feels something unfamiliar. Doubt. Maybe he went too far. Maybe people don't want the truth. They just want entertainment, and he crossed the line between the two. In that silence, the ego that once felt unshakable begins to crack. But then one message cuts through the fog, a text from Dr. Alana Pierce. "If this is a lie," she writes, "you don't run from it, you face it, with evidence, not emotion." Her words jolt him back into focus. Julian scrolls through old messages, screenshots, timestamps, receipts he never thought he'd need. He realizes something important. If he lets this go unanswered, he isn't just losing his reputation. He's abandoning the men and women who finally started rethinking the game. So he makes a decision. He won't cry. He won't rage. He'll do what he's always done, tell the truth, this time with proof. Julian returns to the very place where the storm began, his studio. No flashy intro, no theme music, just a man, a camera, and the weight of his name. He calmly introduces the video. "Tonight, I'm not here to debate opinions. I'm here to present facts." He walks through everything: how he met Sierra, what their real interactions were, where she embellished and where she lied. Time-stamped screenshots slide onto the screen, voice notes play, contradictions stack up. He doesn't insult her. He doesn't degrade her. He simply lets the evidence speak louder than emotion. By the end of the video, the narrative has flipped. Commenters who once believed Sierra begin to question her story. Neutral viewers admit they moved too quickly. Critics are forced to choose between clinging to outrage or accepting reality. Julian ends with a line that cuts through the drama. If you care more about being entertained than being honest, you're part of the problem. It's not just a rebuttal, it's a mirror held up to the entire culture. In the aftermath of the scandal, something unexpected happens. Instead of fading away or becoming a meme, Julian's audience begins to mature. The ones who stay aren't just there for viral takedowns and spicy debates, they're there for growth. Julian pivots his content. Fewer reaction clips, more long-form conversations. He starts teaching men about emotional discipline, financial responsibility, and standards that go beyond looks. He speaks to women about self-awareness, realistic expectations, and the difference between being desired and being valued. The tone shifts from combat to clarity. He still calls out delusion, but now he focuses just as much on healing as he does on exposing. The game isn't about winning, he says in one powerful episode. It's about building something real with someone who's also willing to be real. Those words hit differently. The culture may still crave drama, but for the people truly listening, a new foundation is being laid. Months later, the conversation that started online finally moves into the real world. A major streaming platform sponsors a live podcast event in Los Angeles. Thousands of seats, cameras everywhere, a global audience watching in real time. The title, Love, Value, and the Modern Game. Not only is Julian headlining, his three most vocal critics, Vanessa, Sierra, and Carmen, have all agreed to appear on stage with him. For them, it's a chance at redemption and revenge. For him, it's a chance to finish what he started. As the crowd roars and the lights go down, Julian steps into the center of the stage with the calm of a man who has already survived the worst. His eyes scan the audience. Men, women, couples, skeptics, supporters. He knows tonight isn't about winning an argument. It's about leaving the world with something it can't twist, a message that outlives the drama. The tension is electric as the women sit across from him, each carrying her own shame, anger, and fear. The moderator barely has to ask questions. Years of unspoken frustration spill out. Vanessa accuses him of tearing women down. Sierra claims he profits off their mistakes. Carmen insists he's no different from the men he critiques. Julian listens without interrupting, hands folded, expression controlled. Then when it's his turn, he doesn't attack. He reflects. He pulls up their own statements, not to embarrass them, but to show the gap between what they preach and what they practice. He talks about how culture rewards performance over honesty, how both men and women chase validation, they're not ready to reciprocate. The audience watches as his words slowly shift the energy from confrontation to revelation. Some women in the crowd nod through tears. Some men stare at the floor, exposed by truths that hit too close. By the end of his breakdown, the moment has a name. The Modern Mack Masterclass. Not because he dominated them, but because he finally made everyone see the bigger picture. What happens next is not perfection, but it is progress. Vanessa, once the loudest critic, takes a breath and does something rare in the age of image. She admits she was wrong. She acknowledges the double standards she hid behind. The married man she judged others for dating while secretly keeping her own. The crowd doesn't boo her. They listen. Sierra, shaken by seeing her lies replayed against reality, tearfully admits that she used Julian's name as a weapon to win sympathy she hadn't earned. Carmen, confronted with the emptiness behind her glamorous lifestyle, confesses that manipulating men for money never healed the wounds she carried. None of them become saints, but they become honest. And in that moment, Julian reveals his next move, a book entitled Love, Value, and the Modern Game. Not a manual for manipulation, but a blueprint for self-respect, realistic standards, and mutual accountability. The story is no longer just about him. It's about everyone watching, deciding who they want to be when the camera isn't rolling. Weeks later, the noise dies down. The clips are still online, the memes still circulate, but something deeper lingers beneath it all, a shift. On a rooftop far from the crowds and comment sections, Julian sits with Ty and Dr. Alana Pierce, sharing a quiet meal. No cameras, no moderators. Just three people who've seen the cost of truth and chosen it anyway. Ty jokes that Julian went from internet villain to accidental love guru. Alana smiles, reminding him that the real test isn't what people call you. It's whether you can sleep at night with the person you are. Julian looks out over the glowing city and finally understands what this journey was really about. Not proving that he's better than anyone, not winning debates, but learning that love, real love, requires the same things he's been preaching all along: honesty, self-awareness, and respect. He raises his glass in a final toast. To telling the truth, he says, even when it costs you the game. The camera pulls back, the city stretching beneath them like a chessboard. And as the screen fades to black, one title remains: The Modern Mack.